Welcome into our last fantasy fuel up of the season. Adam Hogue and Ray Scarpelli, who's been giving you the advice all season long, and he can back it up. Hold up that trophy, Ray. I know you have it there. First of all, that's just an impressive fantasy football trophy. That thing is insane. Congratulations.
Man. Thank you. And honestly, I just want to say on my end just how much, Adam, I've loved talking with you, talking with Carm, talking with Braggs, like just really everybody over the course of this last year. It's been the most fun football season I've ever had. And I know the Bears didn't make the playoffs, but we got that number one pick, got a fantasy championship. I don't know how much better it can get, honestly.
You got that sweet trophy. So we're gonna wrap up the season here. Ray's gonna hand out his fantasy football awards from the season, MVPs at a bunch of different positions, sleepers, some busts too. So we're gonna run through these here for the 2023 fantasy football season. Let's start with your MVP at running back.
MVP at running back, I mean, here it's kind of obvious if you had him. Christian McCaffrey, ESPN going into the championship round. If you had Christian McCaffrey, you were in the championship round in over 59% of leagues. So if you picked him, there was some injury concerns. But if you picked him, you were really happy. And, I mean, he had a heck of a year.
All right. And then at wide receiver, man, Tyreek Hill just kept getting the job done.
Tyreek Hill kept getting the job done. He led me to a championship. I drafted him at 106. You know, there was concerns there with Tua Tagovailoa, right, remaining healthy and all this other stuff, but he delivered a season for the ages.
All right, now your biggest draft steal of the year. We got to do a callback here. Your very first hit with us way back in August before drafts were happening. You called this one. Here's what Ray said back in August.
To me, I think the Tampa Bay wide receivers are extremely undervalued based on their ADP. Even with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, like I would love to pick up Mike Evans or Godwin in the 6th or 7th round.
Well done, my friend, because Mike Evans is your sleeper or your steal of the year.
Yes, he finished at wide receiver 5. There was, here, right, in the fantasy community, in the football community, there was a lot of doubts, right? Baker Mayfield coming in at quarterback. Evans isn't catching balls from Tom Brady anymore. It's Baker Mayfield. He's kind of bounced around the league a little bit after Cleveland. But here, they just beat the Eagles in the playoffs. They're moving on to the second round. They're in the divisional round here. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So, I mean, and he's a big part of it, Evans. So,
all right, your waiver pickup of the year. This one hurts me to my very soul because I was actually going to draft this guy with my last pick, and I made a terrible decision, got a little homerish on this one, and instead I drafted Roschon Johnson and missed the opportunity to pick up this guy in the draft, not even just on waivers. Go ahead, make it hurt.
Kareem Williams. Another player that led me to a championship. I added him after the first week. My biggest advice to you guys moving forward, and when we do these segments moving forward, if you've got a fab league, spend your fab early. Do it the first week. If there's a guy that you think is in a good situation, spend the money. I spent the money on Kyron. He led me to a championship. He finished as the running back 5, especially in an offense like the Rams.
I ended up spending it all on Devon A-Chain to make up for the Kyron Williams. It actually was pretty good money. It was money well spent, but then he got hurt, and he really wasn't available too much. But, yeah, man, that one hurts. All right, let's get back to MVPs. We go to the tight end position.
Sam Laporta, another one that led me to a championship, and I picked him off the waiver wire again with that fab. money right in the first week. So please, again, emphasis moving forward into next year. Spend your fab money early and pick up the guys that you want, because here, nobody expected. Sam Laporta broke a ton of fantasy rules this year. Everybody knows that a rookie tight end is not supposed to play well. A lot of them don't get good until year 5, year 6. But as a rookie, he finished as the tight end one. Tight end one. And you had people that drafted Travis Kelce in the first round, and this was a guy you could have gotten off the waiver wire. So, I mean, I love Sam Laporta. Iowa just producing another good tight end.
This one I can at least claim some success because somebody in our league dropped him. It was like week 2 or week 3, I forget. I picked him up, and he ended up being huge for me. I'm starting to understand why you won your fantasy league, though, here. Biggest draft bust at the running back position.
I got to go with Tony Pollard. Here, that Dallas Cowboys offense really, I think, midway through the season really switched to just Dak and CD. There was some question marks, right? You had Ezekiel Elliott as the lead back. Tony Pollard last year was kind of, starting to take away carries, starting to take away touchdowns from Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott leaves in free agency, goes to the Patriots, and then it's Tony Pollard's backfield, right? So a lot of people were like, hey, they got a good offensive line. He's going to be a good running back. Personally, never bought it. He was a more expensive Alexander Madison, really, because a lot of these guys drafted Tony Pollard in the first round or at the top of your second round. So he finished as running back 15. And I just, for where you drafted him at, just not a good player for fantasy.
All right, how about the biggest bust at wide receiver?
Stefan Diggs. Again, another guy that was highly, highly drafted in the first round. And again, just a mid-season change in the offense. They really went with the run game. They really channeled James Cook as the main part of that offense. Stefan Diggs really kind of suffered as a result of that. I mean, he, in the beginning of the year, was doing really well. But again, another guy that finished outside of the top 10 at wide receiver when you drafted him in your first round. Just kind of a shame.
All right, and then this one at tight end, man, this was relatively shocking, and I think it's fair that we all blame Taylor Swift.
I was literally just about to say that, Adam. It's 100% Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce, and I'm going to kind of sound like Chris Collinsworth here, but here's a guy that, you drafted in the first round that there's a strategy called the bully tight end strategy, right? Because, there's really only a couple good ones, and he's supposed to be one of them. And the guy that I mentioned earlier, Sam Laporta, crushed him. And that was somebody you got off the waiver wire. So just for what you drafted, and that when I made these selections, it was based on where you drafted them. These were all guys that you drafted in your first round, your second round. And if you want to win a championship outside of your waiver wire, you really have to draft well in your first 2 rounds. If either one of those picks bust, you just don't have a good shot in that championship round.
Well, and part of it too, obviously we're kidding about Taylor Swift, but part of it, like you mentioned, so Kelce went down a little bit, but a lot of other tight ends stepped up. It was a different tight end year in fantasy football. I know people that started actually starting Cole Kmet over Travis Kelce some weeks and having it work out in their favor. So it was just kind of a weird year for Travis Kelce, who is getting up there in age, and this is kind of something we've been talking about for years now. Is he going to start to decline at all? And I don't know if he's fully declined, but from a fantasy perspective, he wasn't as valuable this season, of course. All right, Ray, I'm glad you're holding that trophy. It's been a lot of fun talking to you weekly throughout the season on your fantasy football picks. Obviously, you made a lot of good decisions this season, handed out a lot of good advice. So thank you for all that. And, of course, we need to find out, though, what's going on at the dealership this month and with Ray Autogroup in the month of January.
Here, Adam and CHGO listeners, here, I love talking football. I'd love to talk some cars with you too. This year is a really big year for the dealerships. We're getting it started off right. We got our Fresh Start financing program going on right now. So if you've been looking to get an auto loan, you might have a little bit of challenge credit. We have some new banks that we just added on as a part of our portfolio to help get you some financing. I'm actually working on one right now with a personal friend to get him an auto loan. So that's what it's all about. It's all about relationships here at our dealership. I love having a relationship with these guys, especially Adam and all the guys over at the studio. It's all about relationships. Allow me to be your guy. I would be happy to help you get you into a new vehicle this year and get the new year started off right.
And you can also get a free oil change if you stop by. Mention CHGO. You can grab a free oil change as well when you jump in and stop by and see Ray. Awesome people over there. Great fantasy advice too. So if you do stop in, make sure you got to cash in on a little fantasy advice as well from Ray. So
I got
Ray,
the trophy in my office, Adam. It's staying here. I get it for a year, so it's I've been waiting a little while for it. So
yeah, it should be proudly displayed at the dealership all year long. Love it, Ray. Again, check out Ray Autogroup in Fox Lake, and we'll keep the fantasy advice rolling here when it is relevant throughout the off season. This has been your Fantasy Fuel Up presented by Ray Autogroup.
We all silly like the mayor.